everyone, welcome back to Forest and G Gaming. This is Arrakasi with my views of the Battlefield Hardline beta, which I've been playing for the last couple of days, and it's okay. I don't know, it's a little bit like a hate fuck. I'm not really treating it like a Battlefield game. It's really not treating me like a Battlefield player, and there's no love in it at all. But that being said, there are a few good things to it. Right now, at the moment, we've only got the single map, which is high tension. It's not bad. It's not great. It's not bad. We've also got two different game modes at the moment, which is Blood Money, which I quite enjoy, like Blood Money, in which you start off at your spawn places. You've got a vault that you need to get $5 million to, which is cool. You've got one spot where you need to basically collect this money, run it back to your vault. You can take it from each other's vaults. It's fun. That's good. I like it. You've also got Heist, which I've only played a few games of Heist. I'm not really big fan of Heist myself, because basically the premise is that there's two crashed armored vehicles, and you need to go and get the money from them and get it out to a safe point, basically. That's your idea of with the criminals, and you have 100 respawns to do it with in 15 minutes, where the police have unlimited respawns, and no time limit. Well, they just have to stop you for 15 minutes, basically. I don't really get that. The downside to this is that if you've got a major skill disparity on the both sides, basically, and the cops are a lot better than the criminals, they can pretty much just sit there with an attack helicopter at the top and just mow you down as you try and get out of spawn, and it's pretty much just spawn camped for 5 minutes, and then you try again, which kind of sucks. So I've written down a few of the things that at the moment I don't really like with the game. The gameplay still feels like Battlefield, which is okay. The downside is that we're still on the HTML-based lobby system, which we had in Battlefield 4. I personally think it sucks. To me, it just seems lazy that they have you boot up or bring up your browser and then go through and get into the game from there. To me, it's, I don't know, you've got security issues with most people's browsers are not as secure as they think they are. Then you've also got issues of computers that are less than great performing. You have to have Origin open, then you have to have your browser open, which if you're running, say, Internet Explorer with a lot of add-ons, takes a lot of RAM all the time. And then you have to run the game on top of that as well. You also have to close the game every single time you want to switch lobbies. It's just a pain in the ass. I didn't like it in Battlefield 4, I don't like it in Hardline, and I probably won't like it when they bring out Battlefield 5. So anyway, let's move on to the changes that they've brought in with Hardline compared to Battlefield 4, which I did play a fair amount of Battlefield 4 when it came out, and I didn't really mind it. A lot of people complained with bugs and so on and so forth, but I completed the campaign. I played quite a bit of multiplayer, and while it was buggy, it wasn't cripplingly so, and apparently it did get better, but by that point I've moved on. So a few of the things that they're really loving or really touting with Hardline is stuff like the grappling hooks and the zip lines, which you can set up a zip line from one point in the, or from one rooftop to another and zip line across the two buildings. Can be really useful if you want to move across the map fairly fast. Unfortunately, there's no real intuitive way of seeing where you can attach a zip line. It's just basically red. You just sort of scan along the top of the rooftops in hoping that it goes green, or tells you can do it, and you hit the button and you zip line across. Yay. Not that great. Honestly, I think it needs to be a lot more intuitive. It's really weird that they can make a bullet drop, but they can't take into account that the actual zipline would drop. So you fire it, it goes exactly where you tell it that apparently it was going to go, and then it just appears. and you jump on it and off you go. And it's the same with the grappling hook. You've only got certain heights and certain places you can do it. You also can't jump onto it, which I have been told, at least. I haven't really done it very much. I didn't see the need for them. It's, again, you sort of look along the top of a ledge and it's like, oh, is my grappling hook going to work? Yes, okay, there you go. And now I can slowly climb this rope and then get shot in the back. To me it feels like a gimmick. I don't think it's really a selling point for the game yet. Now, there is one thing I really like about High Tension, the map that we've got at the moment, which is the scripted crane fall. So like in Battlefield 4, where say like on, I think it was Shanghai, the map, I can't remember, but the large building that you could take down looked cool. However, the only tactical use for that when I was playing was that you took the building down so that 15 people would crash their computers and you'd hopefully come out with more people and you'd be able to take them over. That's pretty much the only reason why you would do it. Otherwise, you just wouldn't. It was more fun to be up there and actually fighting in that area and all that sort of stuff. However, with the crane fall on this one, it actually sort of redesigns the map. You can do it so that you can now run between buildings with a different pathway. It opens up a few things. That is really good. What at the moment is, and I think they probably will change it, is that it takes about 15 seconds to 20 seconds to fall, and it shakes like hell. Like your entire screen shakes. I have been in gunfights where you're shooting somebody, then you hear the crane's coming down and everything starts shaking and both of you just sort of stand there and look at each other because it's like, well, I'm not going to be able to aim. Ammo's not exactly easy to come by unless you happen to be running with people that you know. So I may as well just try and hide away from this person, and once the crane's finished falling, we'll go back to trying shooting each other in the face. And the downside to this is, because it is a small map, it shakes no matter where you are all the time. It's really annoying. As soon as that thing comes down, aiming is out of the question. Spray and pray if you can. If you've got a rocket, shoot it, but then I've done that as well and it's just sort of shaked up in the air and just shot a wall and shit just goes bad. Or it shakes down when you're aiming with a rocket and you shoot yourself in the feet with an RPG. It rarely turns out good. But otherwise it looks cool, definitely, and redesigns the map. So tone down on the shaking and we should be all good. And then they've changed a few different things with your vehicles. Now they've put in that, well, at least at this point, we've got no tanks, which to me was a big selling point for your Battlefield games, that really set them aside from Call of Duty or any of the other sort of first-person shooter games. You had your tanks, you had your attack choppers, you had your attack, your fighter jets, all that sort of stuff. Now we've got basically armored APCs, forward drives with machine guns on them that are really overpowered because nobody runs as a mechanic anymore, because there's not really all that much diversity. However, we do get a few new ones like your motorcycle and your muscle cars or police cruisers, which they've done a few things that have made it so that they're a lot more realistic compared to, I mean, obviously Battlefield 4 you only had tanks and slow-moving vehicles. Now you've got muscle cars and motorbikes. They've made them a bit more realistic in their handling, which I really hate. I hate the idea that I jump onto a motorcycle or I spawn onto a motorcycle, I hit go, I go in a straight line, I start doing a mono, and I keep going in a straight line even though I need to turn. I don't want to try and slow down when I want to try and get to the battle. It doesn't make any damn sense to me. Like, yes, that's exactly how a motorcycle would operate. If I gun it straight off the bat, it will mono and I will not be able to steer. I don't really have much control over... I mean, I can tap W so I slowly take off, but it just doesn't seem like something I want to do when I've just respawned or I've just spawned and I want to get to the battle in a fast manner. It's the same with the muscle car. If you oversteer it all, you start spinning out and stuff like that, and it's just annoying There's no real gain to the gameplay. It feels more realistic, and it just makes me not want to drive cars, and it definitely makes me not want to get into one with somebody that doesn't know how to drive a car, which sucks. So they took out your tanks and they took out your fighter jets. Fighter jets would be completely useless on this map anyway, because it's a relatively small map with buildings all over the joint. They took out the tanks because they're like, well, that's not realistic between cops and your buddy criminals. However, they still left in military grade attack helicopters, which by today's standards, say an Apache helicopter is worth about $16 million, and I've watched over and over again, including myself, grab the chopper at the start of the match, fly it to where the money drop is in blood money, bail out, watch it explode on the ground, $16 million gone, so that I can get $5 million. I don't see the need for them. I think they've kept the attacked helicopters and the other helicopters in there solely so that they can still say that they're a Battlefield game and that they're not doing just a different game mode with no vehicles, basically. They're also relatively overpowered because, again, nobody is running anti-vehicle weapons, because who would? They're not that much. Well, they are a bit of a threat, but you're inside a lot, so it's not that much of an issue. You've also got areas on this map where you can be underground, so attack helicopter's not really going to do much, but the extremely armoured APC shooting doom death thing, I'm sure that's its real name, is extremely overpowered. Your RPGs only do 28 damage to them, where a well-placed grenade will still do 50, which doesn't make much sense to me, but anyway. And yeah, I mean, by the time it takes you to reload an RPG, if you were the only person on this thing and you were hiding, shooting, it takes like 15 seconds to kill the damn thing, which is annoying as shit. Also, back to the whole, it doesn't make sense for them to have tanks. The police, I don't know about in America, but in Australia, our police rarely have transport helicopters with miniguns attached to them. I mean, it might be different in other countries, but that just seems really odd. Which brings me to the end of it, basically. Is it worth what I personally think is a steep $79.99 Australian price tag? At the moment, hell no. There are much better games that you can pick up and have a lot more fun for a lot cheaper than that. And yet, because I'm in the beta and I don't know if it's doing to everyone that continues to be logged into Origin, every single time I close Hardline beta, I get a pop-up going, pre-order now. And I still go, no. However, I mean, this is a beta, and they may fix quite a few of those things, like the grappling in the zip lines. They're definitely going to tone down on that shaking. If they don't, like, everybody complains about it. If they add a good single player in there, a lot more maps, and definitely some original Battlefield style gameplay, so you still got your tanks. They don't need to stick to this whole cops versus criminals thing. If they give us this cops versus criminals stuff with small maps and their type of gameplay, so the blood money and the heist and maybe a couple of others, but they still give us conquest and that sort of stuff, and they're not going to lock us down into this small combat Call of Duty style with a couple of choppers and a motorbike, I think it would be definitely worth it as long as they do it well. But right now it just feels like a reskinned DLC that they didn't have Battlefield 5 ready, so it's like, well, we'll just put this out as a full game and hopefully it'll sell. But really, I don't know, feel a little bit burnt from the bugginess and that of Battlefield 4 on release, so right now I'm not pre-ordering it, and I definitely will make a video to tell you when I do. Alright. Well, if you're already at this point in the video, you obviously like something that you see, so why don't you check out a few of my other videos, maybe subscribe, and let me know what you liked. Have a good one. Bye.